With all the hype surrounding the RTX 380, here's a timely reminder that the GTX 970 is still a good graphics card in 2020, especially if you're not into the latest games. Now, the one in this desktop is 6 years old. I've had it for 6 years, September 2014, and I think it cost me £260 when I bought it. That's the current price, £499. Obviously you can get it a lot cheaper on eBay. £499, that's courtesy of it not being produced anymore, and it's probably new. It's the same as this one by MSI. Can support 4 monitors, though I only use 2 usually, and the big TV occasionally plug that in. All at 60 Hz, full HD, although it can support that at 4K as well as 2 monitors. So a GTX 970 is a good graphics card even in 2020. Now, currently it's got 2 screens on, HD screens, and negligible load, negligible temperature, as you can see. Now if I put it under some load, let's say play a YouTube video, will it change? Yeah. Let's see what the GPU, just a small uptick. Video decode, no, it's only what, using 13% of the GPU. The clocks have not increased at all, nor has the temperature, but it's just using 13%. That's hardly any use in playing one video. But if I play 2 videos, okay, so now we got 2 videos playing. What's the load? Nothing. Show you how good the graphics card is. Got 2 YouTube videos playing, and look, the temperature's just gone up. Well, it's gone back down. It's hovering still around 33. Look at the temperatures. The clock's not increased at all. Now, what if I extend to 3 screens? What will the load be then? Which I do from time to time. You know, when it's like I use these for work, then put YouTube on that big screen, so I can work with these while I'm watching YouTube. At the moment it's under load, see, and temperature just gone up 1 degree, and it's not showing any use increasing the clock speed or anything. Still basically idle, although task manager is showing 26%, 25% load, which is nothing. So let's extend to the big screen HD and see how the load changes. So now we have 3 screens connected, all in HD, and yes, the load's increased. It's turbo to 3600. Got a slight overclock to it. The temperature's increased a little bit. Fans not increased much. Can't hear any difference. So let's put the 3rd screen under load by running a YouTube video and see what happens. Okay, so we got 3 screens under load now. Temperature's increasing. The boost clock's not increased much. But this one's maxed out. Top one's not maxed out yet. What about the RPM for the fan? Memory clocks, see, it's increased. Fan speeds at 38%. Fan RPM stayed constant, so it's not even had call to increase fan usage. So you got 3 screens running at HD under load, showing a YouTube video. And look at temperature, 39 degrees. No fan, not necessary to, the fans still running at the same as it was before. Okay, so what should we try next? Let's see if it can run the big screen at 4K. Let's go to display settings and see what happens. Let's see if we can get it to 4K. Yeah, 4K recommended. Keep changes. There, that screen is now at 4K. Obviously the video is not 4K, video's YouTube HD. Right, so what's the GPU load now? Oh, that can't be right, still 17%. Temperature's increased, everything else is still the same. RPM still the same, so it's not under any real load. But the temperature is going up slowly, but it's at 40, that's still pretty low. You know, I think it can, what is it? Its switch off level is around 95 or 96 degrees before it turns itself off, something like that, 94 to 96, I'm not sure which. It's well below that. And this is a 6-year-old graphics card, and it's running 3 screens, 4K, although the video is not 4K, HD and HD. Now, if I had another monitor, I could plug that in and see if it can power 4, although I doubt it. I doubt I'll be able to power 4K. It might be able to power 4 monitors at HD, but I doubt I'll be able to power 2 HD and a 4K monitor. This is 4K. Just make sure, yeah. That's 4K as per the settings. Oh, there's the resolution settings. Display settings. So change it to 100%. What's this? That put in the extra load. Okay. Oh yeah, look. See, we reduced the scaling down to 100% instead of 300%. But has it had any effect? RPM still constant. GPU load. This task manager still 18%. So there you go. Before you rush out and get a new GPU, you might want to consider, you know, one of these old ones. Look, that is 4K 100%, no scaling, and the load is just 20% now, 19%. Obviously for the latest games there will be an impact, but even then it's not going to be massive, you know. So if you do, obviously in rendering for say, even then it's CPU bound. Even then, if you use say DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Premiere, you're going to be more likely on an old machine, more likely to be CPU bound than GPU bound. For instance, if I try to render a video now, even in DaVinci Resolve, it wouldn't utilize 100%, it'd be something like 30%, whereas the CPU, the 4790K, would jump to 100%. So the GTX 970 is still a great card for most users, unless you're into competitive gaming. Unless you're into competitive gaming, a GTX 970 is still a great card in 2020. And here's the proof. I'm powering 3 screens, 2 in HD and 1 in 4K. And it's not even a murmur. Still 41 degrees, still got capacity. GPU's only 17% utilized. See, with the older systems, the bottlenecks, in fact if you get an RTX 3080 or 3090, well 3090 definitely, but if you get a 3080, you're probably going to be bottlenecked by the CPU anyway, no matter what CPU you've got. 3950X you're going to still be bottlenecked by the CPU, because these graphics cards are so much more powerful than the rest of the system, than the CPU, as this example illustrates. GTX 970, I don't think I've ever seen it bottlenecked, apart from when you do benchmarks. That's the only thing you really need a new GPU for, is for benchmarks. For real use, like 25%, 30 maximum. I've seen the GPU utilized in this system is around probably 33%, 34%, and that's in DaVinci Resolve when exporting a project. In ordinary use, it's less than 10%, especially if I've got two screens connected. Alright, let's go back to having two screens, and you'll watch utilization probably drop. Let's disconnect. Yeah, it's not there. See, you see the two HDs and the big 4K display. So we'll disconnect that. Yeah, we got some. Oh look, see, it's dropped straight away. Idle now. It's idling and the temperature's dropping as well. What's the GPU utilization according to Task Manager? There is a difference. Task Manager is not, yeah, it's gone up to, it increases for some reason, but it's actually not using, oh yeah, it's using, yeah, more of the GPU at a lower clock speed. That's what it's doing. Basically, you're using more of the GPU but at a lower clock, so lower voltage and everything. Yeah, that's why that's gone up. But when that increases, then that percentage drops, because your GPU is running faster, you know, up to 10 times its current. It's basically idling now. That's why the temperature is dropping. So that doesn't mean anything really. Task Manager GPU percentage doesn't mean anything. It's this one you want to keep an eye on. Temperature, basically. There you go. That's the GTX 970 in 2020. Can support 4 displays. So I tend to use 2 or 3 if I want to watch a YouTube video, and it's no problem. And I usually have that on HD, but I can put it on 4K. There's no point unless you got 4K content, but I've just shown you I put it on at 4K with 2 HD displays. This is why I've yet to upgrade my system. Get a new graphics card, because GTX 970 does everything. I'm not a gamer, I'm not into games, but it will play majority of games adequately. Obviously not going to get 100 frames per second, maybe 40, half. You probably get half the frames per second that let's say for the 2000 series graphics card, and probably less, third of the 3000 series. But the main pointer is this: you're very unlikely to be bottlenecked by your GPU. These GPUs are so powerful. Even a 6-year-old GTX 970 is so powerful that you're most likely to be bottlenecked by not having enough memory, although this has got 32 gig RAM. Yeah, so it's not bottlenecked by memory, but more likely is the CPU, which does tend to get bottlenecked by. But as you can see, the GPU is absolutely fine, and it's got a 4790K if I've not already mentioned it. CPU, 32 gig RAM, 20 terabyte storage, a few SSDs, and of course the GTX 970, which is still a good card in 2020. But yes, I am getting a new system. Soon as the Zen 3 come out, it'll probably be a 5950X RTX 3080 20 gigabyte, which will do me for the next 6 years. That's why I'm going with Nvidia, because because they're reliable. The graphics card's reliable. I don't know about, you know, AMD processors, we'll find out, but the 5950X hopefully should last me, you know, 6 years and not, well, at least 5 years and not be bottlenecked. A 16 cores, 32 thread should reduce the bottlenecking. It'll probably still be not powerful enough for the GPU, as this is the case. 4790K was state of the art when it came out in 2014 when I bought the system, but it's always bottlenecked. The GPU rarely ran more than 25% usage. Look, the temperature's gone down. Basically, if you're speccing a system, you gotta understand that modern GPUs are extremely powerful, and they will not be the bottleneck in your system. It's most likely to be the CPU, and then if you're not got enough memory, you know, you should be aiming for 32 gig RAM as a standard now. I won't say as a minimum, just like optimum, call it. 32 gig RAM is optimum. You don't need more than that. 32 gig RAM for most people is adequate, but you do need a more powerful CPU. You know, if I was if the money was an issue, I wouldn't pay more for a more expensive GPU. Say you get a, if you're getting a brand new one, get something like the 3070. Yeah, so that's that $499, or maybe the 2060 Super, which will be, say, $399. That's $399 or £350, and then go for a better CPU. You know, at least an 8-core, but preferably a 12-core to match your, to better match your GPU, because you don't get bottlenecking in GPUs, you get them in CPUs.